Good day, viewers, and welcome to another OnsideSA Soccer Show. Paul is unfortunately unavailable this morning, and joining me shortly will be our UK correspondent Stevie Brahm, who will be going through all the Premiership and Championship fixtures for the weekend. As usual, we start with our last one standing soccer competition. Heading into week 5, we had 117 entries. 96 was successful. 40 entries squeaked through, courtesy of a late Jamie Vardy goal on Leicester. Liverpool had 24, Chelsea 15, Man United and Tottenham both had 5 successful entries, while Crystal Palace with 3, Man City with 2, and Southampton with 2 were all successful from last weekend. Unfortunately, 18 entries went out on Everton and 1 each died, with West Brom, West Ham on Everton. As far as our picks from last week go, there were 5 people worth a mention. 3 were successful on Crystal Palace, namely Michel Narak, Vernon Janssen and Dean Veal, while Ricky Blom and Sean Connolly were successful on Southampton. Of the 96 entries that are still left, Mark Curry has 5. Our reigning champion, Greg Veal, has 5. While I've been asked to mention several times from my boss at work that there are 4 previous winners still in, namely Henry Nordi, Ernie Wallace, Grant Croshaw, and my boss, Guillaume Nell. Having had a look at everybody's selections, our new tote favourite is Colin Gordon. I know there are 43 guys that can use Liverpool this week, but Colin has the ace in the bank with Man City for midweek. We're now joined by UK correspondent Stevie Brahm, where I'm sure it's nice and warm in England. Steve, good morning.
It's warm in my where I am, but it's not outside.
Not outside, eh?
It's about 2 or 3 degrees, I think, at the moment outside.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what place isn't warm, and that's Manchester, after what happened in midweek. Is it Solskjaer's fault, or do you put the blame on the players, Steve?
I think a mixture of both. I mean, Obviously he sets the team up, sends them out, he picks the team. But defensively, that first 15 minutes was woeful. And they had it all to do. And although, they had chances and a little bit unlucky at times, but, again, they got caught out on the break, third goal. You thought they were dead and buried. And in the end, actually, they came very close. But overall, it was a poor performance. When I saw some of the Leipzig game the previous week when they'd beaten Istanbul, but defensively they didn't look very good. But up until the last 10 minutes, they did a good job of keeping United out. So no, very poor in the end. And when you think that at one point they looked like they were going to cruise through, having won at PSG, but to finish third in that group is quite poor.
Yeah, I agree. And lost 3 of the last 4, unacceptable. How long do you think Ollie has got?
There's a bit of me thinks that they'll give him the season, unless it really looks as if they've totally fallen away and can't either win anything or get anywhere close to the top 4. But I think that they'll have to review it, because at the end of the season, if they miss out again on everything, maybe they might scrape the top 4. But if they don't, I think they'd have to look at it, because it wouldn't be acceptable. And they've obviously spent some money. And again, but I think either he or the board have to do something about the player unrest there, and you've got the Pogba's agent making comments. It can't be a happy ship there.
Yeah, to me, Steve, Pogba has to travel, and so does De Gea. I don't know how true the report is, but he's on over £300,000 a week, and is the highest paid player in the Premiership. And when he turned his back on that third goal, that just sums up what's going on at Man United, to me anyway.
They made a huge thing about keeping him, obviously gave him a huge pay rise. But they've got an able deputy in Henderson. I mean, you just think that
it's time.
They were fighting off Real Madrid, but I think if Madrid come looking again, they should let him go. I think you're right. On his day, he can be a great goalkeeper, but he's made too many mistakes as well to warrant sort of being that highly paid and keeping his number 1 place all the time.
Yeah, and you think 600,000 for Pogba and David De Gea, and they both look out of place and don't want to be there. I would move them in January, but obviously it's easier said than done.
Yeah, Steve, I suspect they won't, unless there's because I don't think there'll be a huge amount of money in January. But in the summer, and they can see if they can bring some replacements in. But they need to, they still need to shake that team up.
Yeah.
They've got some wonderful individual talents, but as a team, they're just not firing other than in little patches.
Yeah, to me, what I would do is give Ollie the job till the end of the year, then have a look at a top manager. I'm not sold on Allegri. I've never been a Pochettino fan. But maybe the boy from RB Leipzig last night, youngster, he looks good.
Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
They were. The pundits were raving. They were saying that the obvious thing to do when they sort of went 2 up or 3 up was bring more defenders on, but he actually threw forwards on.
Yeah.
And it caused United some problems. And Kluivert, obviously got the third goal. So he's obviously got a very high pedigree. Whether he could do it in the Premier League with the sort of pressure, he doesn't have the same pressure in the Bundesliga or in Leipzig. But we'll see.
Yeah. Steve, the other games, Chelsea, Krasnodar, it looks like they were just mix and matching players. I didn't see much of it, but I did watch the Juventus Barcelona game. Barcelona, if United are bad, they are even worse, Barcelona.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of unrest there. Obviously, the new president coming in is going to want to shake things up. You get the impression Messi time is done there.
Yeah.
But whether or not, whether City or whoever it is, it's probably only City or maybe PSG. But again, do they really want to make him the highest paid player in the Premiership at his age?
Yeah, it's on his last legs too. I would leave him. Yeah.
Steve, the fact that it didn't happen, they need to have a good think about whether or not that is the right thing to do, so you don't upset the balance of the team and the club.
Yeah, true. Now, Man City cruised through 3-0 last night. I was watching the Atletico Madrid game. They looked like they were playing with Man United, the big derby on Saturday in mind.
Yeah. I think so. It was a relatively routine performance. I watched the second half. They scored a few goals, could have had more. Marseille tried, but ultimately, it was a dead rubber. In fact, City finished with their highest points tally in the Champions League. 5 wins and a draw, so that's a pretty good performance for them. And they're warming up. They've got the bulk of their squad back, fit, ready, and Aguero came on. Obviously, managed to sort of pinch a typical Aguero goal, sort of in the right place at the right time. So I think it's going to be difficult for United to beat City.
Yeah, so do I. And the last, I actually backed Liverpool, Steve. I backed them 3 times this year. Every time they haven't won. And I thought I'd sneak to when Minamino scored the winner in I think it was the 93rd minute, but they drew 1-1 at Michelin. Just a game, it looked like Liverpool didn't want to be there.
Well, again, it was a dead rubber.
Yeah.
It went more to Michelin, I think. Liverpool, again, mixed and matched. They played Salah, which a lot of people were surprised they played him for the 4th time in 10 games, but then he did have a couple of weeks off before. He'll obviously put out a stronger team at Fulham at the weekend.
Yeah. All right. Steve, thanks for your help. We are going to go through the Premiership fixtures with you. We kick off on Friday with what should be a humdinger in my eyes. Leeds United against West Ham. How do you see it going?
Yeah, Leeds, they sort of surprise people. They away from home, they really have played. I think they play much better away from home than at home. They played well at Chelsea, although Chelsea ultimately were too strong in the end. But I think Leeds, true to the way Bielsa wants to play. They attack and they try to play their football. West Ham, you're not quite sure what you're going to get against United for an hour. They played really well and then sort of capitulated. Yeah. I think this will be a close game. Leeds haven't scored many goals at home. I think that seems to be their problem. Yeah. I think they might just edge it, but I think it will be close. Yeah,
I didn't know when I looked at the stats. They've drawn 2 and lost 2 and lost 4 at home. I think 27 a draw is a massive player. Now, the Birmingham derby, second city derby as they all call it, is between Wolves and Aston Villa. I was really disappointed in Wolves against Liverpool, Steve. I know they've lost Jota and Jimenez was missing. They just didn't look right. That mistake from Connor Cody, I don't think it bodes well. Can you see Aston Villa causing an upset?
Quite possibly. Again, Villa have been quite good away from home. It's at home, although they had that, obviously, apart from the Liverpool result, they've not looked convincing.
Yeah.
They haven't played for a couple of weeks because their game last week against Newcastle was called off. They've got majority of their players back. Wolves, I thought, again, very disappointing against Liverpool, played well at Arsenal.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good performance. But so, and the last couple of years, Wolves have been fairly consistent, but this season they haven't. So it's hard to know what you're going to get from them. But I think I think again that's looking like a draw to me. I think it's going to be very close either way, though.
Yeah, lunchtime kickoff for you, 2:30 for us. Now, my best bet of the weekend, and people are going to throw, don't know what other than bananas at me, but I think Newcastle will be too good for West Brom. How do you see it?
Well, as it happens, we seem to have the same thought, because that was my best bet as well.
Okay.
I just think, although Newcastle have struggled at home and they don't score many goals, to me, West Brom, I think, from what I've seen this season, even though they're not sitting at the bottom, I think they actually will finish bottom.
Yeah.
They were. They did win one. They beat Sheffield United, but it's only really because of Sheffield United
missed all the chances.
Missing so many chances. But against Crystal Palace, second half they completely capitulated, and I just think defensively they're not going to keep many clean sheets, if any, this season. So I think Newcastle will win that. It will be a low scoring, but I think they'll win it.
Yeah, I was also impressed with Newcastle against Crystal Palace. That Joelinton-Wilson partnership.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I was impressed with them. They've had the bye week, didn't play last week because their game got postponed, and I just think this is a time for Steve Bruce's boys to get a result. Now, you mentioned the Manchester... Sorry, Steve?
Yeah, sorry.
No, Karen?
Yep.
Now, on to the Manchester derby, 7:30 our time, obviously at 5:30. I'm not looking forward to this as a Man United supporter, but we have upset them in recent times. Can you see it, Steve?
Well, again, I think only if there's some individual brilliance, by sort of Rashford or Fernandes, because, I watched the United game last week, and for an hour they were poor. Yeah. I watched City against us, and although they didn't run right, but they just looked so comfortable all the time. I think this will be a cracker. I hope it's a cracker. I think City are going to be favourites, but United, they've hauled themselves back up the table a little bit without playing well at home. But I think this is a huge test for them.
Yeah, I just don't like what I see at the back. And the only thing is, Steve, I think Fred, I'm not a lover of him, but he's a key part of our team, and I think he'll start this week. But I just think Man City will be too good.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But again, it might take one or two pieces of individual brilliance from from a Fernandes or Rashford or somebody to, that could be the difference. But I think defensively they just really can't get it together at all at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's hope United can avoid defeat. I doubt it. Now, the team that has impressed me of late has been Chelsea. Everton have been woeful. Is 8-10 Chelsea a good thing, Steve?
Yeah, I think Chelsea should be too strong. I mean, they've got the bulk of their squad back fit. They've got more strength in depth than they've had for a while. Everton are really disappointed. I mean, literally one win in 7, and that was the game when they were hanging on at Fulham in the second half. Very disappointing for me. When you think after their first 4 games, 4 wins, sitting top, everyone was raving about them, but something's not quite right there. Maybe they've just been found out. People are closing Rodriguez down a bit, but I think Chelsea have got a good record against them. I think they'll be too strong.
Yeah, so do I. Steve, on to Sunday. Team that's been great. RB Leipzig, previous manager Hassan Hüttl. I felt for Chris Wilde at Sheffield United. They didn't deserve that last-minute Jamie Vardy goal. Is there any chance they can rebound from that defeat?
Look, I mean, they find themselves, Sheffield United, the bottom of the table with the lowest number of points of any club ever in the Premiership after 11 games. Yeah. Yet they're actually they're in every game they play. They don't lose by more than a goal. Yeah. But I think Southampton are just playing as a team. He's got them playing so well as a team. I mean, individually you look at the team and they haven't got that many what you call stars, but they just play for each other. And I just think that Southampton just be a little bit too strong for them.
Yeah, so do I. Now, one team, I'm surprised Paul hasn't got on the phone to crow about his Tottenham team, but is this a potential banana skin against Crystal Palace?
You never know what you're going to get with Palace. I mean, at home, they're not, apart from that Leeds game, they haven't been played that strong. You think in that home game against Newcastle, they were poor. I mean, last week at at West Brom. Obviously, once West Brom went down to 10 men, there was only one team in it.
Yeah.
And it showed that, obviously, without Zaha previously, they looked a bit toothless, but he was played very well.
Yeah.
And even Benteke got in on the goals, and it makes you wonder if Benteke can score two, you're struggling.
Yeah.
I think Tottenham should be too strong. I think if they like to be, in fact, both teams like to sit back and attack on the break at the moment. So, but I just think Tottenham should, the way they're playing, I think they will be too strong.
Yeah,
Son and Kane sitting behind Son at the moment just seems to be working very well for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Spurs are on a roll. Crystal Palace, I thought we were a little bit fortunate 5-1. I doubt if they'd have won, Steve. Maybe I'm wrong and you may disagree. If that red card hadn't come about.
Yeah, I just think that West Brom, I think it would have been a lot closer, but
Yeah.
I just think Palace were probably just a bit too strong.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But in the end, it was their biggest ever Premier League away win. They've been sort of stuttering a little bit, so that was, it was a big result for them.
Yeah, true. Now, can your boys Fulham get anything against Liverpool?
I think if we got anything at all would be a bonus. The fact that we got our 3 points at Leicester, expected to lose at City. I think if somebody would have said before the 3 games you'd have 3 points, we'd be delighted. So I think this is a bit of a bonus game for us. If we get anything out of it, really would be. I'd be surprised if we do, but I think we're certainly showing a lot more fight. We're showing a lot more steel at the back.
Correct. I like what I see.
It's hard to beat. So, I fully expect us not to get anything, but well, you just don't know. I mean, Liverpool are not quite firing on all cylinders. Obviously, they did against Wolves, and I think if they play like that, then I suspect they'll be too strong for us. But we've got to have a bit of a go ourselves.
Yeah, correct. You've got to have a go. Live in hope. You never know. Red card here and there. You score early, but
well, I think at home, even last time we played them in the Premier League, we gave them sort of a good game home and away. So I think as long as we should. For us, the season really starts next Wednesday.
Correct,
again, because we've got Brighton at home and Newcastle away, and these are the sort of matches that we have to be looking to get something from. So I think Sunday is key that we don't get beaten easily, we don't pick any key injuries up. But I'd really like to see us have a go at them, because I think, obviously, with their defensive problems at the moment, Liverpool, I think we won't get anything unless we test them.
I agree. Now, one team I just can't put my finger on is Arsenal. I thought they were disgraceful against Tottenham. Surely they've got to beat Burnley, Steve.
You'd think so. I mean, but again, last time out at home, they were very poor against Wolves. There's something not quite right. They had a lot of the ball against Tottenham, but they never really looked like we're going to score on many occasions. There's something obviously wrong there at the club. I mean, where they're sitting with sort of 6 defeats in their first 11 games. I mean, that's, the Arsenal of old wouldn't lose 6 games in a season.
Correct.
So there is something wrong. I think they will be too strong for Burnley. I thought Burnley were very fortunate second half to get anything out of the game against Everton.
Yeah.
But again, they're a big team. Burnley make themselves hard to beat. If they go there and sit back and soak up pressure, I think Arsenal could struggle to break them down. I fancy Arsenal, but just by 1.
Yeah, I agree. It's time. For me, Steve, when I watch Arsenal, the biggest problem is the guy, Granit Xhaka, the midfield player. He gets the ball from the centre halves. He kills everything. They can't catch teams on the break. They're too slow.
Yeah.
It looks good, but they're going nowhere. Now, the last game, I think, could be the upset of the weekend, the Premiership. Leicester at home against Brighton. Steve, I haven't been impressed with Leicester lately. Brighton are far better than at home. Not so when you have a look at their home record. I thought they were unlucky against Southampton. Can you spell an upset, or do you fancy Leicester?
Well, it depends which Leicester you're going to get. I mean, obviously, Leicester were poor, really, by their own standards against us. And they struggled at Sheffield United. Obviously, that late Vardy goal was the difference. But as you say, Brighton play attractive football, and away from home, that's where they picked up the bulk of their points. At home, they can't buy a win. So I think it will be close. I think Leicester probably feel that they need to sort of play a little bit better than they have done recently. People were still writing Vardy off, saying he's gone off the boil, but obviously came back with a good goal. I think it will be close. I'd be surprised if Brighton go and win there, but as you say, this season's been topsy-turvy with teams doing better away than at home.
Yeah, I like the 24-10, the draw. Steve, on to the Championship. You know, obviously you got no interest or not as much obviously since Fulham are in the Premiership, but obviously your brother at Watford, so he'll keep you on the boil. But we kick off on Saturday lunchtime, should be a cracker. 2 Welsh teams in decent form. How do you see it going?
Yeah, up to a couple of weeks ago, I'd have thought, I think Swansea could win that, but Cardiff have come back strongly. A couple of good home wins, a good win at Stoke midweek. I think I wouldn't be at all surprised if Cardiff really up for that and maybe get all 3 points. I've just got a feeling that they're just starting to get a little bit of form. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if they just edge that. Yeah,
they won the last 4 and they beat Watford last week. I was very surprised with that. But but local derby, Steve, a draw's always a player.
Yeah.
Now Bournemouth is sitting second. They've come right. They've until Preston went there and educated them. They won 4, drawn 2, and lost 1 against the Huddersfield team, who have been impressive. Steve, they won 3 of the last 5. But Bournemouth too strong, do you think? Steve, you there?
Hi, Budge.
Steve, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, guys, we just had a little bit of a gremlin there. Steve, Bournemouth versus Huddersfield, they've come right. Won 3 of the last 5, Huddersfield. Those were all at home.
They're not totally convincing all the time, Bournemouth, but I think they will be too strong. Huddersfield are just starting to, just come to terms with some of their new players there and the style of play. And they've had a few good results, but I think Bournemouth should just be a bit too strong.
Yeah, I watched Bournemouth beat Barnsley 4-0 away. They were really impressive. Well, Huddersfield at home, they're dangerous. Obviously on the road, different story. Now, one team that's been terrible at home for years is Birmingham City. Your brother's Watford team, do a number on them?
Well, Watford are sort of hanging onto the coattails of the top 2, but without actually playing so well away, drawn too many away from home. Yeah. Birmingham had a good result last night, winning at Reading, and had a player sent off and held on. But I think that it'll be low scoring. But I think they're getting their players back. Watford. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Watford get a result there, or certainly don't lose that.
Yeah, and Blackburn Rovers versus Norwich. I watched half an hour of this last night. We had it on ESPN. Blackburn have a go. They got sucker punch late on. Norwich have come right, sitting top of the league. I think there's goals in that, Steve, but which team would you side for?
Well, you're right. I saw clips of the games last night, and Blackburn did sort of throw it away right at the end, and they looked stronger at the beginning. And Norwich as well. Norwich did what they did a couple of years ago. They scored that late winner. I think there will be goals. Blackburn top scorers with 31. It was surprising they drew a blank last night. Yeah. I think there will be goals, and it's hard to call because this is one of those that could go any way. But I think there will be goals. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a score draw there somehow. I think Norwich are just getting themselves into a bit of a groove at the moment.
Yeah, I think that goalkeeper Tim Krul's still there, done a great job. Now, talking of great jobs, Wayne Rooney's been in charge for 4 games at Derby. They haven't lost, and they got a great result last night, drawing 0 at Brentford. Yeah,
I think they lost the first visit, sort of drawn 3 and lost 1, but they did get a good result last night. Brentford have been a little bit shaky at home. I think teams sit back and they're finding it a bit harder to break them down. It sounded like it was a good rearguard action, and I think they'll definitely take a point. So, I think he's got the experience, but playing himself at the top level, so he knows what should be done, and maybe he's just starting to get his team to believe in him. But that was a good result there. I think that. But Derby, I think they're just going to make themselves hard to beat at the moment.
Yeah,
and then
I agree.
The points might start to follow.
Yeah, Stoke City had one bad result, but they've been in good form. Yeah, I think they're a playoff contender. I just don't know how they form.
Again, the other night they threw it away. They were 1-0 up and had a penalty saved, and then literally got sucker punched at the other end with a couple of Cardiff goals. So I think it will be close. I think that will be a close game.
Yeah, I think the draw's a massive player. Now, my boys Preston, who won 3-0 last night at Deepdale. Unbelievable scenes there. 2,000. I can't believe it. I think there were more people outside the ground celebrating than inside. But Luton Town, Steve, one of the last 7, slowly slipping down the log. Can Preston win again?
They are. Well, again, up until last night, I mean, Preston couldn't buy a home win. Obviously, they scraped one recently, but it's away where they've been so strong. They still, hard to back against Preston when they're away from home. I think draw looks good there. As you say, Luton, again, they're stronger. They are stronger at Kenilworth Road, though, to be fair to them. So I think that could be a good game. I think there'll be goals, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if they cancel each other out.
Yeah, I agree. Now, one team I was going to make my bet of the weekend until they got hammered last night was Middlesbrough. Their last 5 games at home, they've won 4, lost 1. That loss was late on to Norwich. Would they be too good for Millwall?
You'd think so. I mean, Millwall are the draw specialists.
Yeah.
I mean, they've drawn 9 games this season. They've only lost 4, but this is not scoring, but they're very tight. This has got all the makings of a very, very low-scoring game.
Yeah.
Either no goals or maybe 1 goal. I think Middlesbrough might just pinch it, though.
Okay. One team I'm really disappointed in. I'm a lover of Chris Hughton, but he doesn't seem to get his team scoring goals. Notts Forest host Brentford. Any chance they can get back to winning ways? They've lost 5 of the last 6, Forest. Yeah,
I'm not sure that they would. They'll beat Brentford, though. I mean, they played better from what I saw and what I heard last night. Anthony Knockaert scored.
Yeah.
They were a bit unlucky late on, but I think Brentford seem to be playing slightly better away from home because I think they prefer it when teams come at them and they can sort of catch them. So I'd be very surprised if Forest could win this. For me, it's either Brentford or a draw.
Yeah, Brentford, 4 wins, 6 draws from the last 10. Obviously tough to beat. Yeah. Now, Queen's Park Rangers, who let me down last week, I thought they'd score when they got beat 2-0 at Huddersfield. They host a Reading team who were beaten last night. It'll be a goal fest, but which team do you fancy?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's QPR are one of those sort of teams. At home, they score goals.
Yeah.
Reading, you're not quite sure what you're going to get with them at the moment. Obviously, they started off like a house on fire, 7 wins out of 8, and now only sort of two wins in the last 9, and sort of beaten, were 2-0 down yesterday and sort of well beaten, really. But so I think this could go either way. But I think, for me, I think QPR might just edge that.
Okay, now Rotherham hosts Bristol City. Bristol City sneaked in late on. You think they can sneak in again against Rotherham?
Yeah, I think they will. I think, Rotherham at home, to be fair to them, it's where they pick up most of their points.
Yeah.
But I think Bristol City just, again, just sort of creeping up the table again, and I fancy them. I fancy them just to pinch that. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll win it by the odd goal. Okay,
one team I expect to rebound this week is Tony Pulis' Sheffield Wednesday. 15-10 Yorkshire derby against the Barnsley team that have won 4 and lost 3 of the last 7. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I mean, Barnsley won last night. It was a bit scrappy, but they, as you say, they won. But then they were well beaten last week by Bournemouth.
True.
Wednesday, at the moment, are finding themselves sort of bottom again. I think they really need to get some points. The danger is they could start drifting back. Obviously, they had that 6 taken away from them, but even so, they are sitting on 9 points and sort of bottom. So I think they will be close, but I think Wednesday will just edge that.
Yeah, Hillsborough 1-1, drawn 3 of the last 4. I think it's time Tony Pulis let the reins go. And last but not least, Steve, Wycombe Wanderers at home to Coventry. How do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, Wycombe have been trying really hard. I mean, again, last night they got themselves back level and then gave away a late goal. Coventry have been playing some good stuff. I mean, obviously every game's away from home for them, but I think that will be close. I think if there was to be a winner, it might just be Coventry by 1. But Wycombe, to be fair, I think they will probably finish bottom. But I think they're having a go. They, compared to most, they've got they've got a small squad. No budget really, and I think they're doing well, but I think they will just ultimately sort of find it too tough going.
Okay, Steve, thanks again. Now you've mentioned Newcastle as your best bet. Who's your best value bet? I'm
going to go for Bristol City. I think I think they're on the road. I think they'll be a little bit too strong for Rotherham.
Yeah, 16-10, Steve. Steve, thanks very much for helping us with the show. Good luck. Pleasure. And good luck with looking after Mr. Lafferty next week.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't bring any germs over with him.
Yeah, I hope not. Steve, thanks again.
All right.
Take care.
Cheers, Budge. Talk to you next week. Bye.
The big game in South Africa is at Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban, where we have the MTN 8 final between Bloemfontein Celtic and Orlando Pirates. Celtic have been woeful in the league this year, but in their 2 cup games, they eliminated Sundowns and SuperSport United. Pirates, with their new additions, beat Cape Town City and Kaizer Chiefs, and they're unbeaten in the league. Pirates are obviously the favourites, 7-10, but I'm always wary about cup finals. So in all my exotics, I'm throwing the draw in. Would I take 7-10 Orlando Pirates? Unless you're a staunch Buccaneer supporter, yes. But for my money, I would rather chance the draw at 5-2. On to our soccer exotics for the weekend. We start off on Saturday with the Soccer 6. I'm going the field in the Wolverhampton Wanderers Aston Villa game. I think Newcastle United will be too good for West Brom. I don't see Orlando Pirates losing against Bloemfontein Celtic. I can't have Man United beating Man City, but I'm throwing the draw in, looking to keep us all happy. I think Chelsea will be too good for Everton, and I'm going the field in the Madrid derby, 1, 2, and 3. OnsideSA Soccer 6. I'm going Watford, win and draw at Birmingham City. I'm going Blackburn Rovers, win and draw at home against Norwich City. I don't see Stoke City losing at Wayne Rooney's Derby County. I'm hoping my beloved Preston North End can avoid defeat at Luton Town. I think Sheffield Wednesday, I don't see them losing at home to Barnsley, and I've had to chance a banker somewhere. So I'm going Middlesbrough to beat Millwall, 192. On to our Soccer 10. I'm going Swansea City, win and draw at home at Cardiff City, I'm going Wolves, win and draw at home against Aston Villa. I'm going Valencia, win and draw at home against Athletic Bilbao. I'm bankering Borussia Dortmund to beat Stuttgart. I'm going Borussia Mönchengladbach to be too good at home for Hertha Berlin. Our second page, I'm going Mainz, win and draw at home against Cologne. I'm chancing Newcastle United to beat West Brom. I'm going Getafe, win and draw at home against Sevilla. I don't see Orlando Pirates losing against Bloemfontein Celtic, and I'm going Man City, win and draw at Man United, 256. On to our Soccer 13. I'm going Man City, win and draw at Man United. I'm bankering Chelsea to beat Everton. I'm going Newcastle United to be too good at home for West Brom. I'm going Reading, win and draw at Queen's Park Rangers. I'm going Blackburn Rovers, win and draw at home against Norwich City. I'm bankering Middlesbrough to beat Millwall. Brentford to beat Nottingham Forest. Onto the second page, I'm going Bristol City, win and draw at Rotherham United. I think Bournemouth will be too good at home for Huddersfield Town, and so will Watford be too good at Birmingham City. I'm going Sheffield Wednesday, win and draw at home against Barnsley. I'm hoping my Preston North End boys will avoid defeat at Luton Town, and ending with Coventry City, win and draw at Wycombe Wanderers, 256. On to our budgies bets for the weekend. I'm going Aston Villa to win or draw at Wolves. I'm going Newcastle United to be too good at home for West Brom, and over 1.5 total goals, while I think Liverpool will win both halves at Fulham, 2,300 to 200. Our Premiership, both teams to score bet is Leeds United West Ham, Wolves Aston Villa, Man City Man United, Arsenal Burnley, and Leicester Brighton, 2,800 to 200. On to the Championship, where I've got a nice treble. I'm going Bournemouth to be too good at home for Huddersfield, Middlesbrough to be too good for Millwall, and Watford to be too good for Birmingham City, and all games to have over 1.5 total goals in each particular clash. 2,700 to 200. Our both teams to score sides are Cardiff Swansea, Blackburn Norwich, Derby Stoke City, Notts Forest Brentford, and QPR Reading, 3,800 to 200. Our team goals only, I'm going Liverpool to score over 2.5 goals, while I need Southampton, Middlesbrough and Watford all to score over 1.5 goals or a minimum of 2. 4,200 to 200. And our Collis King, 6 or Nexa, is Liverpool to beat Fulham, Tottenham to beat Crystal Palace, Southampton to beat Sheffield United, Bournemouth to beat Huddersfield Town, Bayer Leverkusen to beat Hoffenheim, and AC Milan to beat Parma. Thanks again. My best bet of the weekend is Newcastle United. Well, my value played 15 to 10. I'm chancing Sheffield Wednesday to beat Barnsley. As we always say, stay on side and please be safe.